The story begins with Ashley at home talking to her friend Natalie on a video call. During their chat, Ashley mentions she has been searching for something for a while and feels like she has finally found it. Suddenly, someone knocks on her bedroom door. She gets up to check, but Natalie reminds her that her parents aren't home. This makes Ashley uneasy, yet she still opens the door. No one is there. Thinking it might be a prank, Ashley looks around the house but finds nothing. When she returns to her room, the door closes on its own. Fear appears on her face, and the scene cuts before we see what happens next. The story shifts to a family: Chuck, his wife Maria, and his sister Isabelle. They visit Ashland Falls, where a real estate agent, Bonnie, shows them a large, beautiful house that has been empty for years and is selling at a very low price. The family immediately decides to buy it. Chuck is a music teacher, Maria a fashion designer, and Isabelle studies art. The town looks peaceful, but it holds deeper secrets that will slowly appear. The film has 4 chapters, 3 from the viewpoints of Chuck, Isabelle, and Maria, and the final one connects the whole story through the film's title. Chuck's chapter starts after they've moved in. After heavy rain, he notices a ceiling leak. He calls Bonnie, frustrated because she claimed the house had no issues. She seems surprised, either pretending or unaware of a problem in the official records. Chuck sends her a photo and checks Maria's studio, where she is live streaming. Her studio has no leak. Inside, we see her old mannequin Martha, which she has kept since the start of her career. Later, Chuck meets neighbor Larry, who reveals that something tragic happened in the house. The former owner ended their life. Chuck never knew this, and Bonnie also hid it. Chuck talks to Bonnie again and learns the house records really did have mistakes. While reviewing the leak photos, he notices something impossible. A shotgun appears in one image, even though it wasn't there when he took the picture. He finds it strange, but moves on. The next morning, he sees Maria's mannequin Martha placed outside by someone. Maria also finds it unsettling. They suspect Isabelle, but she firmly denies doing it. When Chuck picks up the mannequin, Larry approaches. He apologizes and mentions he knew about Chuck's mother's accident and Isabelle's depression. He warns Chuck to watch her because this town has seen many troubling events, including people ending their lives. Larry hints that a certain woman, her, is connected to these incidents, but refuses to explain further. He only tells Chuck to read the town's history at the library. Curious, Chuck goes to the library. He notices an odd stack of books and then sees Ashley, who looks shaken. She warns him to stop searching, leave the books, and insists everything written is true. Still confused, Chuck asks the librarian about the books and the girl. The librarian jokes about people looking for Forest Road, which Chuck doesn't understand. But when the librarian hears about the book stack, their expression suddenly becomes serious. After going home, Chuck studies the town's history and learns that since the 1980s, many strange incidents have occurred. Town records repeatedly point to a woman, but the full truth is still unclear. A piano student visits Chuck that day. She plays poorly at first, but when Chuck steps away, he hears someone playing the piano perfectly. The girl is terrified and says a woman was playing. Chuck checks the room and finds no one, and the frightened girl leaves immediately. That evening, Chuck attends the gardening club Larry mentioned. Instead of gardening, the group quietly discusses the town's dark secrets. They believe a woman's presence, or curse, has been pushing people toward dangerous actions since the 1980s. Many locals have had their own strange experiences. Chuck asks who she is. A man finally answers. Helen Foster, believed to have been troubling the town for years. They mention 825 Forest Road, the place where Helen reportedly ended her life. But the house can't be found because Old Town records were changed long ago. Locals believe that finding the house is the only way to end her curse. During the meeting, Larry briefly sees Helen's figure, and everyone panics. Chuck leaves too, and on his way back, notices a strange woman inside the church. The second chapter begins from Isabelle's viewpoint. When the family first toured the house, she checked an upstairs room. The audience sees a figure behind her, though she doesn't notice, hinting early that something is wrong in the house. Isabelle is dealing with depression after her mother's death and is in therapy. One evening, Chuck finds her recording her thoughts, as her doctor advised. Through this, we learn she has been having disturbing dreams since moving in, often seeing her mother. She has also drawn unsettling sketches, including one she doesn't remember creating. Their conversation shows old tension. Isabelle still feels hurt because Chuck left the family for work, though he genuinely cares for her. The next morning, she wakes from another nightmare. The same day, Chuck finds Maria's mannequin outside. She also notices strange marks on her bedroom door. With Maria out of town, Isabelle stays home alone until Chuck returns from the gardening club, where he learned disturbing information about Helen Foster and the town's past. He hides it from her, still visibly worried. Isabelle's depression deepens. When Chuck gently asks if she ever has harmful thoughts, she avoids answering, but her reaction suggests she might. He urges her to continue treatment, which leads to an argument. She blames herself for their mother's death, and Chuck's past absence still hurts her. The next day, Isabelle's classmate Luke visits. He asks if she has seen or felt anything strange. When she says no, he explains the town's hidden story. Years ago, Helen Foster lived here with her daughter, who was severely bullied. Helen complained to teachers and parents, but no one helped. Her daughter eventually ended her life. Shattered, Helen took revenge on the bullies and their parents, then ended her own life with a shotgun. Since then, townspeople believe her presence still affects the town. Many residents have experienced strange events, and several have taken their own lives, including Ashley. Even the library had an incident where someone placed a stack of books before ending their life, and these book stacks still appear mysteriously. While Isabelle and Luke talk, Maria enters, worried, asking if Isabelle went into her studio. Isabelle says no, and Maria quietly leaves. The town believes Helen's curse can end only if they find the house at 825 Forest Road, where everything began. Many searched, but the house was never found because old records were erased. Later, during her therapy recording, Isabelle describes her nightmares and how real they feel. She also misses her mother deeply. That night, Isabelle and Maria go to an art exhibition and finally connect. Isabelle admits she always thought Maria disliked her and felt like a burden. Maria shares that she has a sister she loves but isn't close to, and then reveals something Isabelle never knew. She has bipolar disorder. Maria shared her experiences so Isabelle wouldn't feel crazy, reminding her that depression and psychological issues can happen to anyone. This comforts Isabelle, until a girl suddenly screams in the gallery. When she turns, she sees a dark shadow inside a painting that wasn't there before. The gallery immediately shuts down, and they both go home. That night, Isabelle wakes to her wardrobe light turning on by itself. She switches it off, but it turns on again. She removes the bulb, yet the light comes on once more after she returns to bed. When she turns around, two dark hands reach out from inside. She then wakes up, maybe a nightmare, but the bulb she removed is still on her side table, which terrifies her even more. Later, Isabelle tells Luke about her nightmares and says she doesn't want to stay in the house. He suggests she move to campus, but she hesitates because she doesn't want Chuck to feel abandoned. She tells Luke she wants to find Forest Road, something Chuck is already researching through library books. Luke explains many people tried before, including Ashley and her friends, who may have found the address. Right after that, Ashley died. At the film's beginning, Ashley even told her friend she had found something. Luke believes her death is connected, though Isabelle isn't convinced. Before they continue talking, Chuck calls her urgently and tells her to come home. When she arrives, Maria is crying, but no one explains. Chuck simply tells Isabelle to pack. They are leaving the house. Isabelle decides she'll move to campus. Chuck prepares to leave for something important, and Isabelle asks if he's going to search for Helen Foster's house. Even though he kept everything secret, she already knew. Chuck says nothing and walks out. As Isabelle packs, Luke visits her. While they talk, he sees a photo of Isabelle with her mother and casually mentions he just met her downstairs. Hearing this, Isabelle is stunned and tells Luke that her mother is no longer alive. Luke is shocked too, insisting it really was her. Both realize something is terribly wrong. They then hear loud crashing noises from the kitchen, like dishes breaking. When they go downstairs, Luke panics and runs out of the house. After he leaves, a woman's voice, sounding like Isabelle's mother but darker, calls out to her. Isabelle starts crying and moves toward the voice. Maria rushes in and begs her to stop, but Isabelle doesn't listen. She sees broken dishes on the floor, and then a terrifying spirit appears, Helen Foster. Maria and Isabelle run upstairs. Isabelle locks herself in her room, leaving Maria behind. Moments later, Isabelle hears Maria scream, and the scene cuts. The next chapter begins from Maria's perspective, starting at the moment they first decided to buy the house. Maria felt uneasy about the unusually low price, but Bonnie insisted there was nothing wrong, so she agreed. Later, Maria and Chuck talk about Isabelle's therapy. Chuck thinks it won't help her, which upsets Maria because she herself deals with a psychological condition and knows therapy matters. She believes Isabelle needs understanding, not doubt. Maria also talks to her sister, who asks why she is trying to adjust to a small town when she's always been a city person. Maria explains she's doing it for Chuck. After the call, Maria picks up her things to leave, and Helen's spirit briefly appears in the mirror behind her, unnoticed by Maria. Downstairs, Chuck mentions a few things about Forest Road. In the kitchen, Maria finds a stack of dishes with a note on a cup, reading, "They won't put themselves away." It's the same line Chuck's mother used to say, but Maria assumes it's just a joke and ignores it. In the car, she hears the news about Ashley's death and is shaken that these events are happening so close to them. While reversing, we again see Helen's spirit appear and vanish. Later, as Maria records her vlog, she steps out and returns to find Martha, the mannequin's head, turned in the opposite direction. Startled, she goes to Isabelle's room the moment Luke is there. Maria's medication alarm rings, but she decides not to take her bipolar pills that night. After returning from the art gallery, she explains the strange incident to Chuck. He is confused, but tries to focus on supporting Isabelle. The next day, during her live stream, viewers, including her sister, notice something horrifying. Martha's hand moves on its own behind Maria. Her sister calls to warn her, but Maria only understands when she finally sees the mannequin inside her room, seemingly alive. Terrified, she later tells Chuck, and they burn the mannequin together. Still shaken, Maria argues with Chuck about everything happening. Chuck decides they must sell the house and tells Isabelle to pack. This leads back to what we already know. Luke visits, claims he saw Isabelle's mother, The kitchen noises begin. Luke runs off. Isabelle hides in her room. And at that moment, Helen's spirit attacks Maria. A short while later, Maria goes to Isabelle's room to comfort her, but Isabelle freezes in shock. Maria's face is pale, her eyes look injured, and blood is running from her nose. Even Maria is terrified seeing herself like that. The scene cuts. Maria is then shown resting in her room, clearly unwell, while Chuck stays worried beside her. Luke arrives to meet Isabelle with a map, the same one Ashley found. It turns out to be a power grid map of the town. When matched with the current layout, it reveals a clue to where Forest Road might be. Chuck immediately decides to go, and Isabelle insists on joining him. At that moment, Bonnie arrives with her cameraman for the testimonial shoot she scheduled earlier. Chuck tells her it's a bad time since Maria is sick, but suddenly, Maria comes downstairs looking perfectly fine. Chuck is shocked because moments earlier she had a fever and could barely stand. Maria tells Chuck to go take care of what he needs to do, and she'll do the recording. She even mentions Forest Road, which confuses Chuck. Isabelle asks Luke to stay with Maria until they return, and he agrees. Chuck and Isabelle leave in search of Forest Road. Meanwhile, the interview setup begins at the house. Maria keeps glaring at Luke with unexpected hostility, making him uneasy. As Bonnie starts the interview, the film shifts to Chuck and Isabelle arriving deep in the woods where the road stops abruptly. Hidden, there is an isolated house, likely Helen Foster's. Chuck believes burning it will end the curse. The two enter the abandoned home. During the interview, Maria begins acting strangely. She keeps mentioning her daughter and repeats how she was bullied, how she begged the town for help through letters, and how no one supported her. It becomes clear that Helen Foster is possessing Maria, retelling her own story and the reason she cursed the entire town. Meanwhile, Chuck and Isabelle explore the forest house. A dark entity follows Isabelle. Chuck discovers letters hidden under the floor, the same ones Helen wrote to the bully's family. After reading the address, he realizes the truth. This isn't Helen's house. It belonged to the bully's family. Helen's real home, the true cursed location, is actually their own house, where they have been living the whole time. Shocked, Chuck rushes upstairs to get Isabelle out. He finds her frozen in fear at a doorway, exactly like her earlier drawing, with a demonic hand on her shoulder. Chuck tries to pull her away, but the entity drags both of them inside. Back at the house, Luke senses something is wrong. He asks Maria the name of her daughter. She answers, Mary, confirming she is Helen, not Maria. Helen's face twists into a monstrous form, and she attacks Bonnie and the cameraman. Everyone inside the house is killed. Helen's curse proves unstoppable, and the true location of her original home remains unknown. The film ends on a tragic, unsettling note.